needed, and all of a sudden DFS is at their door, wanted an investigation. But we have children that are on the sidewalks in our neighborhood at all hours of the night that should be at home in bed and in schools during the day. Yet for some reason, and I don't know, I don't think that there's anyone to blame, but for some reason we're allowing it. So I think it's getting the people that can't help themselves, like the children and the adolescents, off the streets and putting them somewhere safe where there's a roof over their heads, food in their bellies, and they have a chance of being successful. So just kind of finding a balance between helping the people that truly need help, but not enabling the people that are hanging out in our parks. So thank you.
My name is Brian King. I am a business owner downtown. I also live downtown, and I just want to shift gears a little bit real quick. The one gentleman said that you know some of the bums by name. I think that may be a problem. My office overlooks 14th and Washington, and my residence overlooks Washington and Tucker. And I look out the window and see bums that we know by name running scams, charging people to park in parking lots they don't own, panhandling people at City Museum. And I think the fact that these are the type of homeless that don't want to be helped is a problem that I don't know how to address, but it should be. I know there's some people in this room who have actually followed these people around a little bit, witnessed them purchasing drugs, seen them panhandling on their way to go buy the drugs, and you can offer them all the services in the world, and if they don't want to help themselves, I guess what we've done so far is just turn a blind eye to it. I don't know that that's the best approach.
Just real quick, this is really more of a point of information, and I don't think any of the speakers meant any harm by this. But the term bum, that can be taken as a real hurtful term. It can be taken as a derogatory term. And so, it's hard to know how to talk about classes of people. And I know the Bridge has talked about people being part of the sojourner community. I think if we want to talk about people who don't have homes and talk about the homeless or the urban poor, when you start getting into words like bum, that actually kind of gets into assigning some motivation. So we can just kind of watch our terms.
I apologize.
No, I was just saying, I don't think people meant any harm by it. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to do one more speaker on homeless and then switch topics to law enforcement.
There'll be time to go back during the open mic at the end. Yeah.
I just want to make a comment and some observations. One, I don't think there's anybody here who is against the homeless people. I think most of us are against homelessness, and I would even say Larry Rice himself would be against homelessness. No one wants to see people sleeping on the street. That being said, Mr. Rice asks us to be good neighbors and to be tolerant. Well, I would say the same thing back at you guys. When you allow people to defecate and urinate at our doorsteps, when you advertise that you offer services for people, and then they come, and instead of coming into your building, they sleep out on the street. What does that say? I don't get that. Because coming in is worse than sleeping on the street. When you see women and children laying on the street, we've had, 20 to 50 people at a time sleeping on the street out here. These are not the same people that were at Tent City. I was told that specifically by Bill Sidoff. These are people that are coming in here from all around the country. And according to Bridge, 75% of the people around that number aren't even from the St. Louis area. So we have a huge issue here. You want respect, homeless people want respect, we do too. We don't want to be treated like horrible people in our own city, the city we're hoping to make a home. I volunteer at St. Patrick's Center. I would say if you canvass this room, you would find a lot of these people help in many, many ways. But I think somehow the city has to get control of this and to stop other communities from bringing people from their jails and bringing them in here. I saw a police car the other day drive up, let 2 guys out, and drive off from, is it Bellevue up north? Anyway, that was the police car. So I would like to see the city of St. Louis take a more aggressive role at seeing to it that the people who want help get it. And then the few that are remaining that don't want help, let's look at those individually. Okay.
Okay, the next issue is law enforcement. And again, I just sort of wanted to remind everybody to address concerns and do your best to throw a suggestion out for what you'd like to see done.
My name's Dan Goldner. I live at 1520 Washington, and my issue is as much about law enforcement as it is homelessness or whatever. I travel about a week a month. I'm in Chicago. I usually stay downtown, so I see it there. And as the one person said, there's homelessness. There is, you see that in every city you go to. I've been here 5 years, and I feel pretty darn safe. The times that I don't feel safe, or when it's Tuesday night at 9 o'clock, and there are no one, you can go lay down on Washington Avenue and basically not see a soul. There's minutes go by where cars don't drive by, which is kind of odd for a downtown, especially compared to Chicago, which is a vibrant city. My brother was actually the project manager on the old post office building downtown, and that was probably, 7, 8 years ago at this point. And at that time, he actually had lunch one day with the governor of Missouri, also the mayor of St. Louis, and they talked about, what do we do about St. Louis? We know this city has some real issues. It's dead, basically. What do we do about this? So this isn't new, and everyone knows about it up to the top levels in Missouri. And really what it comes down to is, if you don't want to donate money or don't want to feel like donating your time and all those sorts of things, spend your money down here at St. Louis businesses. Because really, the money drives everything. It's what makes the world go round. And if there's a lot of people down here, just like on Saturday nights, you see a lot of people down here. You also see a lot of police down here. So if there were people down here on Tuesday nights, instead of it being dead, if there were people down here spending money, going to restaurants, supporting local businesses, you'd also see a lot more police, which would solve a lot of the other problems in itself. So that's kind of what I say, support the local businesses, invite your friends down here. Make it a place where instead of people coming down and going to a Rams game, and then after the Rams game they get the hell out of town, make it a place where they really want to stay and hang out for a few hours afterwards. So that's it.
I'm Silver E. Cardi. I forgot to mention before, I have been on the task force that was organized by the Downtown Partnership, so I have gotten to know some of the law enforcement pretty well. I would like to see a network community of people working together to help enforce the law, like community members, residents, business owners, because I feel like on the weekends it's like they're the cops and then they're all the people enjoying their time. So I think if there's more communication between law enforcement and the neighbors, that would be good for everyone. Thank you.
Hi, I think everyone remembers that my name is Eric and I was originally from England. What I didn't mention the first time is that I left England and spent 5 years in South Africa. And I went into some of the most dangerous places in the world there in Soweto. And we're in a church here. And God has a plan for everyone. If you're frightened, you will remain frightened. If you treat everybody as you wish to be treated, then you'll find that fear is just something that is an emotion. It's a reaction. I played with lions out there in South Africa. By the way, the dog wasn't mine. I walked the dog. It's a no-kill shelter. But I can't stress enough that if we reach out, this is the place. We reach out to everyone in this community. We connect the dots. We make it what we want it to be. After all, isn't it? We the people, we make it what we want it to be. We are responsible. This is our home. There's no other home like this. And if we want to say, oh, we don't want to do this, or we don't want to do that, or we're scared, what are you scared of? Your own shadow? As I say, I went into Soweto. By rights, I should have been killed, but I wasn't. I've been in places all over the world, and I've never, ever been frightened, because I believe that this Lord is with me always, and yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, he will be with us. Don't be afraid. Form a neighborhood watch. Connect the dots. Don't look at problems. If you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. Work on this big community that we have. Make it all one big world, one big united nation. Forever. I was born right after the war, and we had United Nations right there. There are people from every place here. I met a young girl from Italy just the other day. I watch her around. I watch her around Union Station. She's here for a short time. You know, make it what you want to be. Don't let things pass you by. Grab it, shake it, believe it.
Hi, my name is Frank Rowland. I live in Lucas Lofts. To me, the city has changed, especially in the last 6 months. You know, I travel anymore. I'm nervous because we had 2 dogs, and I'm afraid for my wife to take the dogs out anymore in the morning. We had last week beating with a bat and a stabbing right alongside our building. We had another guy shot, a week before over a bag of chips. You know, and I see this more lately going on, and you know, I'm nervous about it. I moved up to the city because I saw St. Louis changing. My wife and I visited our son in New York and fell in love with New York, fell in love with Chicago. Old, tired, cut of grass, moved up here because we thought St. Louis was changing. In the last 6 months, I think it's going backwards. To me, it seems like there's a lot more crime. Saturday, my wife and I went out for a walk late at night. It wasn't the same as it was 6 months ago. We felt safe, but when we walked up, you know, it was different. It wasn't the same, and this to me has been like the last 6 months. You know, that people were having fun 6 months ago or last year in the summer. Now, I don't know, it's just, you don't feel safe as we were last year. You know, we do see a lot more homeless, and they say, and I do feel sorry for the homeless, and I think everyone needs to pitch in and help them, but I do agree with the lady. Help the ones that want help, the other ones that don't want help. We have to do something about that. Thanks.
I've lived there for 7 years. I live at Washington and Tucker, right literally on the corner, overlook everything. I see all the weekends, I see everything that goes on. 3 years ago, I used to complain that there were no police downtown. You could never see an officer. Now there are cops everywhere. I think we're halfway there. The policemen are around, but they don't give tickets for anything. Guys still walking around with beers, people still getting fights, there's loud music, loud motorcycles, and nobody's giving out tickets. There's gridlock there at every single light. There are plenty of cops around, and that's what I was screaming about before, but I believe we're halfway. Cops are around, but I don't think that they're following through and doing things about it, and that's my point. I think we're halfway there. Thank you.
I'm Stephanie Weir. I live in the Art Loft at 15th and Washington, and I don't know if everyone's aware, but there's a Citizens Academy at the Police Academy where you can go. I think it's an 8-week course, and you can tour the 911 center. You get to learn all about drug dealers and gangs, and you get to do a ride-along with a police officer in the district of your choice. There's graduation with cake. It's just a fun way to get to know the police officers, get to know what's going on downtown, maybe get some tips on how to handle it. And I just wanted to add that I grew up in Kirkwood, where you can kind of go out at 2 in the morning and TP a house and feel totally safe. And I feel pretty safe down here. I walk to work as often as I can. I work in Purina. And it's just about being aware. There are, certain streets that are safer than others, certain places are more populated than others. I feel the most unsafe walking through the crowd at the sidebar on a Saturday night than I do, walking around on a Tuesday at 9. But just staying in populated areas, knowing where you're going, just being aware and being smart about it. But I do feel incredibly safe down here. Thanks.
Hi, Gerald Gabb from the Ventana. I'd like to say that I feel perfectly safe downtown. I raised my kids in University City, which is a very, with a very divergent population, from the edge of Wellston to the edge of Clayton. And, I like the action. I mean, I like, the diversity and the mixing on Del Mar and all kinds of people. So I actually enjoy the excitement. And I don't feel any less safe downtown than I did in University City or growing up in Cicero, which is on the edge of Chicago. If I wanted to feel safe, I'm sure I could find a rural area where there's no people. But since I like people and I like being downtown, then yeah, we're gonna bump into each other once in a while. But I gotta say, I really love this area. Sure, it's a little edgy, but I think most of us, like to be around the action. So I'm glad I'm here.
This is my comment about law enforcement. I thought I was going to get in an argument with the guy I know from the Post that said that panhandlings are not that bad down here, but he actually said, I think he's right, we're halfway there. We've got police down here now. It's awesome. We used to not have our own bike patrols. It's such a positive development. And the police officers on bicycles, I think, are pretty darn good. Got to know a few of them. I'd encourage you guys to. At the same time, I don't know how many squad cars have shown up to my calls. I make a lot of calls, and totally different response. It's just absolutely ridiculous. I know a lot of us were sending messages to City Hall and the police department. I was emailing Chief Ison from, I think, last fall, because I would stand out here and man one of our small parking lots, and I saw things change. Pretty quickly, but there were smaller numbers of bad behaviors in the beginning. And they did not respond. And then finally, Lieutenant Dan Zarek, who's an awesome cop down here on a bike, this guy wears a white shirt, he went out and got us the martial law, if you will, which I don't like. And what I see when those guys are down here, and hopefully they'll change this before next summer or next spring, they don't do jack. They stand around and they talk and they don't ticket. They don't really do anything. My perception is that those are guys that are like, oh my God, I have to work on Saturday night. Well, fine, Lieutenant Dan, I'm just gonna hang out, with my buddies on this corner and look at the girls. Now, I'll be real quick, but you guys probably aren't privy to this. I did a sunshine request, and you wouldn't believe how many shots fired, brandishings of weapons, or actual shootings where somebody's hit were occurring before we got those 30 police. It was late at night. I do feel safe downtown, but it was getting out of hand before we got those 30 cops. So yes, I feel safe downtown, but something had to change, and I don't think everybody is really privy to what's going on in that respect. This is something from Mitch, and he's Japanese, and he wants me to read it. Can I read it? He was the first one to write a question. Mitch speaks English, but he felt like I could read this better. Regarding, and Mitch lives at Knickerbocker and is a longtime resident. Regarding the homeless person shelter, I'm guessing he's referring to New Life, but I can't be sure. The shelter should be operated for the people's welfare, however, not with all people.